Welcome back into another episode of the Bad Movies Worst Opinions podcast, where we believe that everybody has a favorite bad movie. The only rule is that we must watch a movie that is rated below a 6.0 on IMDb. To do a movie like Coyote Ugly, we had to invite a lady. Whitney Edwards joins us in studio today. Whitney is one of my dear friends, and you told me I love Coyote Ugly.
I do. I really enjoy the movie, like as a whole. I have a lot of complaints about it, but I do enjoy it.
Well, this movie is a 5.7 on IMDb with 122,000 votes. It was released August 4th of 2000. You can catch this movie on Hulu. The description: an aspiring songwriter, Violet Sanford, after getting a job at a woman-run NYC bar that teases its male patron, comes out of her shell. That's an okay description of this movie.
Yeah.
That's an okay. We
Yeah.
normally have some more spot on summaries of a movie. This one's just okay. She does come out of her shell. A lot of other stuff happened, and I don't even know if that's what the movie is really about.
I don't know. I think like it is about her like coming out of her shell. I would also argue that she doesn't actually have to come out of her shell. She's always out of her shell in the movie. She's like faking the stage fright thing.
So this budget was $45 million. It made $113.9 million at the box office. So a commercial success was Coyote Ugly. Let me give you the opening week. Hollow Man debuted that week at number 1. Nutty Professor 2, Meet the Clumps, finished in 2 its second weekend. Space Coyotes was number 3. Seems like a movie that you love, Space Coyotes. Also a movie that would probably be on this podcast where we celebrate bad movies. Coyote Ugly debuted at number 4. What Lies Beneath is number 5.
Ooh,
Who's in What Lies Beneath? What's that movie?
Oh, who is in that? Is that Michelle Pfeiffer?
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen it before.
It's like a thriller.
Okay, What Lies Beneath? We gotta do some Googles on What Lies Beneath. This might
be Michelle Pfeiffer.
This might be a movie for the podcast. Let me give you the cast in this one. Piper Perabo, she is Violet Sanford. Adam Garcia is Kevin O'Donnell. Maria Bello is Lil. She's the owner of Coyote Ugly. Melanie Linsky, she is Gloria, the best friend. John Goodman is in this movie. He's the Pops. Isabella Miko, she's Cammy. Tyra Banks is in this movie, kinda. She is Zoe. We'll talk about her. And Tom Brady baby mama, Bridget Moynihan. She is in this movie. She is Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
She works at Coyote Ugly. Big fan of Rachel in this film.
Oh yeah.
Rachel would have got me to go to Coyote Ugly. Rachel would have got a couple extra tips for me.
Yeah, that's your type,
Coyote
isn't it?
Ugly. This is how I want to start this conversation for this movie before we get into the plot. Could this bar work today in 2024 with cell phones?
It
Because
does.
one thing that really stood out to me in this movie is you and I both know if you go to a bar and you got attractive women pouring water on themselves at the bar, there's a row of dudes with their phone like this up the entire time. That was noticeable that was not in this movie. Do you think that a bar like this, that was as lawless, didn't really seem to have much security, do you think this bar could work in 2024?
Okay, well, this bar is like a chain of bars at this point. Like there's a lot of like Coyote Ugly bars out there, like in like Nashville, New York, like big cities. And so like it clearly works on some level. I don't think it's as like lawless and crazy as it's portrayed in the movie. But I also don't know because I've never been to a Coyote Ugly bar.
I've never been to one of these bars before either.
Yeah, it's not really my scene.
They got one of
like,
these in Vegas? I go to Vegas enough. I should know if there's one in Vegas.
I know. I've never been to Vegas, so you should know. That's your scene, man.
I should know this. We are in South New Jersey at a local pizza joint, and Violet is putting in her walking papers, heading to the big city, but not before we get a little karaoke. Her pops, John Goodman, is hesitant to wish her off because of her mother's failure. Her homegirl is also having a tough time with her leaving, but she's proud to see her follow through and pursue her dreams. Complaint number 1 about this movie: I hate that this girl is from New Jersey. This movie to me works if she is from a small town in Iowa. This movie works if she is from a small town in Arkansas. She moves 40 miles away.
Yes. And I feel like, especially like when I was younger watching this movie, I really felt like, wow, she's like moving away. And then I was watching it last night and I was like, I like looked it up on like Apple Maps. It's a 45-minute drive. That's how long it took me to get here today from my house, like to record this podcast. That's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, like the whole concept of it, of small girl goes to the big city. That's a movie trope that works.
Yeah.
But the distance needs to be bigger because I'm not from New York, but I would guess if you're in New Jersey, sometimes you take the train to the city, or you go there for the Macy's parade, or there's so many things that you would go do in New York City if it was a train ride away. They just didn't give her a lot of street smarts in this movie that
None.
you would get if you grew up in that area. Like, you think of Jersey, especially South Jersey, like a little tough. She didn't have a whole lot of toughness in her, which would have made sense to me if she was from South Dakota, not from down the street.
Yeah, absolutely. That's literally like the first point I made about this movie. Is just that's a 45-minute drive. That's not enough distance.
Do you think the pizza was good at this place? She was in here serving pies. Is this a place you would go to?
I mean, probably, because I really like pizza. So, like, I'd probably try it. Let's be real.
So Violet is big city living, and she is having a tough time pushing her demo tape. She sees Mr. O'Donnell, a local booking agent in charge of finding talent, but Mr. O'Donnell isn't who he says he is. He is actually Kevin O'Connell, a no-talent minimum wage punk working in the back of the Fuji Grill. Complaint number 2 that I have about this movie. They didn't really push the music thing to me enough where I really felt like she struggled to kind of get her tape. Like, I thought the movie at times I thought it struggled to lock in on what it was trying to be. Like, if this movie was about a girl from the small town that's trying to make it as a musician, I felt like we should have at least experienced a little bit more of the journey, or experienced more of the pushback of, hey, I've been shopping this demo tape. Nobody really wants to listen to it. How am I going to get my music heard? We had this scene of her pushing music for maybe 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it just ends up, she gets her big break and it works at the end.
Yeah, you see her go to like 2 separate like recording studios, agencies, like whatever. You have like the really fun monologue from like the first receptionist that she talks to, where she's like, you know, like, well, how can I help you? That's a fun monologue.
Why do they have to have the angry black woman like that in this movie, though? That woman,
regardless of who's doing that monologue, it's a fun one.
They didn't have to do my sister like that. They really didn't have to do my sister like that.
And then you see her go to like this club, get kind of like hustled around and like duped or whatever, but then like still fall for the guy anyway. Like, yeah, like she doesn't struggle enough. And like, you don't really see her like working on her music, except for like a few times she's like on the roof of her building, like jamming out. But like, yeah, like you don't see her struggle and push her music.
Is it romantic or creepy that he follows her home?
Oh, I think their entire relationship is super cringy. I think he is.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. Hot take 1. You're in my world now. Hot takes. I love them.
Okay. So I will start off. That man is very attractive. I will give him that. He is a very attractive guy.
And to be fair, that is usually the line between romantic and creepy, is how attractive she finds you.
That's fair. That like everything he does is just so like weird and cringy though. And I would argue also that like she's super weird. Like there's one point where they're in like a record store, like talking, and he's like trying to like get her to like sign up and go perform at this like club. He has like an inn, and she's like, oh, I don't want to. Like, no, I have stage fright. And he's like, well, I'm not going to kiss you until like you agree to do it. That record store they're in is packed. Like if you're like casually shopping and you hear some weird couple talking like that, you would be like, oh my gosh, ew, this is disgusting. And like, yeah, him following her home and then he's like, oh, I can take a hint. He's been following her for 30 minutes. He's like, I can take a hint. You can't.
And she just moved here from New York. It's a man following her around. Where's Olivia Benson when you need her? Stabler, Finn.
I mean, she moved into like a full crime scene. Can we talk about her apartment at the beginning?
We're about to get to that point. So she is still on the grind. Violet's still on the grind, trying to get her music heard. Mm-hmm. She's heading to open mic night, but she chickens out. Her apartment that had nothing in it has even less in it after someone broke into it, stealing the little bit of money that her friend gave her earlier in the music. My overarching complaint about this movie, and there are things I like about the movie, and we'll get to it, like the movie hasn't really started to heat up yet, is every time she had a problem in this movie, it quickly got resolved.
Yeah.
Very quickly got resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we never really saw the grind and struggle of a musician trying to make it. Hey, somebody breaks into her apartment, steals the little bit of money that she has. It doesn't matter. She's going to go to the most popular bar in New York the next day and then get hired on the spot.
Yeah. And like, yeah, like you don't see her like really struggle because like, you know, the whole time that like she has her dad to fall back on. Because again, she's 45 minutes from home. It's not like she can't just go home and continue everything she wants to do from
Can you really
New Jersey.
rely on John Goodman?
I mean, he doesn't want her there, but like, I don't know. I really like John Goodman, so I feel like you can always.
I like John Goodman's character in here. We will talk about at the end that he acted like she worked a spearmint rhino instead of a bar. That's how he acted in response to her working at this bar. While Violet is at the local diner trying to cheer herself up after the break-in with some good old-fashioned American apple pie, we meet the Coyotes, 3 hot women who work at the popular night spot, Coyote Ugly. Let me ask you maybe my first question of this movie.
Okay.
Why is Tyra Banks in this movie? Because Tyra Banks is in this movie, but she's not really in this movie too.
No, she's, I mean, like, yeah, like she's in what, like 3-4 scenes tops. And I like she at the time, because this was 2000, so she was huge.
Yeah.
And she was just starting America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, she might be one of the 5 biggest models in the world at this point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so, like, I think that this was just a vehicle trying to get her into the film industry. And that's the only reason she's in this movie.
Yeah, but she was kind of in other stuff. She's in Higher Learning. She was in Fresh Prince at this time. Like, I think she's been in there. This is why I think Tyra Banks is in here. You need somebody to sell the poster.
That's fair.
You remember when you go to the movie theaters and, you know, we were growing up, I'm sure they still do it now. They had the posters of movies that were coming up or movies that are currently in theaters.
That's fair, because she's on the poster, even though she's only in, again, 4 scenes.
Of course, because you don't know these other women. You don't know who Piper Perabo is. You don't know who Bridget Moynihan is in 2000.
No.
You know who Tyra Banks is. And wait, you're telling me Tyra Banks is playing it at this all-women bar as a bartender? You needed somebody to sell the poster. So I'm guessing that Tyra Banks, she got paid probably a nice sum of money to... She was maybe on set for 2 days. She's not really in this movie. No. She's in this one scene. Then she comes back. She came back like the prom queen from like 4 years ago that came back to the thing to wave at everybody. Like, I loved it.
No, I don't like the attention.
I loved it.
Okay, I'll get on the bar.
I can't believe that they got her jersey in the rafters up at Coyote Ugly. She's a legend. She was a legend in the streets.
I would be willing to bet too, because I did not watch like the trailer for this movie. I just watched the movie the other day, but I would be willing to bet that Tyra Banks is heavily featured in the trailer as 100%. Well. Because like you're right, that probably does draw like a lot of people in.
100%, especially who you were trying to appeal this to. Obviously, they're trying to get young women to go see this too. You're also trying to get horny guys to go see this.
Oh, 100%.
This is the perfect movie where, you know, you and I are around the same age. This is the perfect movie where your parents drop you off at the mall, tell you they'll be back to come to get you in 3 hours. Hey, me and my friends are going to meet up. What are we going to go see today? We're going to see Coyote Ugly. Didn't matter if you were an 18-year-old boy or girl. You're telling me it's girls and they're pouring water on themselves? That is a movie that I will spend the $6 to go see in the movie theater.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how this movie did $113 million.
Absolutely. I will say Tyra Banks is super like she does one really weird thing in like that diner scene, like when we first meet that like all the coyotes. And I thought about it for like several scenes after, because I was just like, what a weird choice. Like, why did she do that? She goes to like squirt ketchup like on her fries, and then she takes an extra moment to squirt like a line of ketchup onto her finger and just eat the ketchup directly.
I didn't even notice this.
Oh, I noticed it because I was just like, why did she do that?
She's a rebel.
Like,
That's what it was.
This? Gross. Just a fingerful of ketchup.
I think
disgusting.
They wanted to see her put something in her mouth. I think maybe that's it. A little innuendo there.
That's 100% what it is. I still hated it.
Our girl Violet, needing to make some quick cash, heads down to the bar looking for a gig and is given an audition by a very no-nonsense owner. Her first shift, Friday night at 11 p.m. Time out here. I got more to read. This is one of the more popular bars in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm training you to find out if you can handle the amount of customers that we got coming in here. I'm not just letting you get behind the bar Friday at 11. And we do high volume, high energy, quick, fast.
Yeah.
I got to know if you can mix drinks. I got to know if you can handle the stress. I'm not giving you Friday at 11 p.m. I might give you Friday at 6 and see how you do before my regulars get in here and it starts to get going.
I mean, do you see like the first drink she pours in the movie? She has to like pour like 2 beers and like terrible pours. Like that is like, they're all foam. like she's not a good bartender from the start.
Would you go to Coyote Ugly?
No, I wouldn't.
I feel like you would go. I know you well enough that you say you wouldn't go, but eventually like, oh, that sounds fun. And then you would go and you would see the atmosphere. Now, I don't think you would stay long at Coyote Ugly. You would get
Maybe
like,
that's it.
Yeah, you would get like 1 Michelob Ultra because you got to be drinking something. You'll get 1 beer and then you're out of there. You're not staying for very long. You're in and out of there in 17 minutes.
Okay, first of all, if I have to stand in line to get into any type of like bar club, I'm not going. Like, you're not going to get me to stand in line. And that's a very like common theme is like, they have like a line out the door at this bar. I'm not standing in line anywhere. And they also like, they don't do like mixed drinks. And if I go to a bar, the only thing I order is like an amaretto sour.
Good old vodka cranberry. Tried and true.
Nobody's giving me an amaretto sour at this bar. So
good old vodka cranberry. Good fastball right down the middle. You can always order one of those. So Violet walks in and is completely blown away by what's going on. At this moment, Jersey is born, an ex-kindergarten teacher, former nun, just looking for a good time. Well, who could have predicted this? She struggles mightily. This is not working out, but she breaks up a fight, and this gets her audition number 2. I do like this part. This scene of, now I understand it's a movie, you got to create some resolve here. If you were from how they try to paint it, you were from small town, you then go behind the bar, your first day, it goes how her first day went. Oh, yeah. It goes bad. Oh, yeah. It goes really, really poorly for you if you try to 10 bar at this place. Piper just didn't really have like, you could tell like all the other girls kind of love the life and the energy of it. That's not really why Piper is doing this. No. Piper's doing this because she's broke. She doesn't have a choice.
She just needs money. That's it.
So Violet heads back to the Fuji Grill to get her mixtape back from Mr. O'Donnell. She did. She went to go get her mixtape back.
Can we talk about so he takes the mixtape. It's clearly been like a few days, right? And that he just like has it in his pocket. He's just been like carrying it around waiting.
Yeah, he's been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, because he's weird.
He's been waiting for this moment because he knew he would see her again.
He's a weird guy.
Now we get to this. This is one of my favorite things in movies. The teen shopping montage. I love it.
Oh, it's the best.
Every movie does this perfectly. It's very easy to do. 2 people or group of people, pop music, rock music, shopping.
Yeah.
It works for me every single time.
And just like a rapid succession of like different outfit choices. And like we're all giggling and laughing and having a great time and we're twirling. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Do you think that this movie changed fashion sense for women and during this time frame? Because you were in high school, you were around when this movie came out. Were girls trying to dress like the characters from Coyote Ugly?
Oh, 100%. I wasn't quite in high school yet. I was a little younger like when this came out. And so like the kids at my school weren't dressing like that. I do think when you look at like other media though, and like other movies like around that time, they all have like a similar fashion sense.
It wasn't enough Ed Hardy in this movie for me. We needed more Ed Hardy in this film. We didn't have nearly enough. We didn't have enough Ed Hardy for me in this movie.
We didn't have enough toxic men in this movie. That's why.
No, we're about to get to it. Oh. We're about to get there. So it is now night 2 at Coyote Ugly, and Jersey sprays the fire marshal for ordering water at the bar. Another complaint that I have about this movie. Another complaint. Now, I don't want to speak out of turn. I try to stay out of women business. If you worked at an all-women bar, there'd be more cattiness behind the scenes. There'd be a couple of the girls would hate each other. Somebody's girlfriend would have slept with somebody's boy. It would have been a lot of nastiness. They kind of tried to hint at it a little bit.
With like Rachel being mean.
Yeah, the girls don't like Piper. There would have been more drama. I needed a little bit more tension in this movie than the movie gave me. That's my number 1 complaint is they make it seem like she's from some small town in the middle of nowhere. And then number 2, if you worked in an all girls bar and with a female owner, there'd be way more. There's way too many Real Housewives shows to make me think that there would have been this much harmony in a bar.
We also only see like 3 people that work there total. And so in a bar this big, you'd have way more people working. Like Piper only works 5 nights a week. Like who else is working there? So I feel like maybe like there'd be like more tension if like we saw more of like the employees. But like I agree. It's for sure very tame for like an all girl environment where they're there to be the focus of male attention.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you just know like some guys will start getting possessive or you're fighting for tips. Hey, that person is my regular. I know exactly what he wants. There just would be a little bit more infighting than I think the movie kind of portrayed.
I get that.
Over the course of the movie. So it's,
also because I think we've established I don't really hang out at bars very often.
No, we learned that.
So like I don't
Queen
know.
Queen Amaretto Sour over here.
So like I don't know if like this is like a thing at like weird bars that I just don't realize. Just refusing to serve water. Like, is that
that's illegal.
You
can't do that.
Like, you can't just not Give people water.
And it's not that the fact that you can't order water, you get chastised for ordering water. It becomes a spectacle for you ordering
You're
water.
You're getting drowned at the front bar.
You're getting waterboarded. You're getting waterboarded all because you wanted something to drink. You cannot do this. This is illegal. Please, sir. The one guy doesn't even order water. He orders like a vodka water, which is a drink. And they're like, no, that's not allowed.
We're
here.
not putting any water in this one. Are you kidding me?
You're not getting any water. So they set her up. The fire marshal is fining the bar $250, and it's up to Jersey to go get the cash. She only has 2 hours to pull it off. Well, Mr. O'Donnell better get to work. He walks in. He's trying to get his Mac on, but this leads to him being auctioned off. A bidding war starts for our leading man's services, and they get the money that they needed. I don't want to sound crass here, but for $250, he had sex with that woman, didn't he?
I mean,
he had to. That woman was horny.
Okay, so first of all, weird to just like pimp out this guy who's like clearly trying to get your attention. That's just weird. Yeah. When he's like on the bar, that woman wins because she said 250 and they're like, sold. Yes.
And she went up there and was.
She comes up there and then you see her go down and like his face like is like, oh.
Yeah,
like,
real. I know. She was active.
Like, what is going on that bar?
I know. And that's why I'm saying is if you're this horny old woman that is clearly in this place where 18 to 22-year-old people hang out, you shouldn't even be here. Go home to your family.
Yeah.
That's number one. Go home to your family. And if I just paid $200, what are you paying $250 for? Are you going on a date with this person? Is this money being raised for charity?
Like it's not to have a beer at the bar.
Yeah,
for sure
what are you doing? That man, no, I bought you. I own you. Let's go to the car and let's do what we need to do.
Yeah. In his convertible.
This is prostitution. That's what this is. She prostituted my man.
Also, I want to note, because I just thought this was like fun. I love like in like older movies like this, when you see people who go on to like become bigger actors and you see them in like a bit role and you're like, hey, I know this person. One of like the younger person who was bidding against that older woman is Caitlin Olsen, who is now like very popular from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
No, I didn't know this. Look at this. That's why we got you here for the fun facts.
Yeah, she's the one who like right away is like, I got $20. Yeah, let's go. And then is so mad.
$20 wasn't even close to getting the services.
Oh, listen, she kept bidding though.
If you want to sleep with Kevin O'Donnell, you need at least 2 Benjamin Franklins. You're not doing it for just a $20 bill. So it is 3 a.m. and Violet and Kevin are heading out for a late night breakfast and chat, which is an elite date idea, by the way. We learn that Kevin is really interested in comic books, and she tells Kevin about her stage fright. Now, this is where I was really conflicted.
Okay.
On one side, this is a great first date. After the club, let's go get something to eat. We can build a little bit. We go outside. Have you ever, on the course of a date, then got a job over the date? She starts to work. She puts on an apron, and they start slanging halibut.
Okay, so I actually like wrote this down because if like I like had been like hanging out with this guy and then like he hits me with like that line where like he's like, well, I want what every man wants at 3 a.m. Breakfast would have had me like 100%. I'm in. Like, that's so charming. That's so cute. Let's go get breakfast. If then 3 hours later we show up at a fish market, I'm out. Like, there's no way that in my brain I'm like, this is fine. This is cute. I don't want to touch that fish. I'm leaving.
He really did put her to work at the end of their date. I've never seen a date end the way that their date ended. So it is night 3 and things are getting rowdy, very rowdy at the bar. Violet stops a possible riot and sexual assault by doing karaoke. Let's be real here. They're about to sexually assault that young woman.
Absolutely.
Like, just the way that they come together and they're grabbing at her, they're about to sexually assault that woman.
Yeah, she's now the only person behind the bar, like Piper.
They don't have nearly enough security for how many people that were in there. Yeah. Like, they only have like one.
They have that one guy at the door who's reading a book about colleges.
Yeah, like, the one guy. And I'm like, wait, hold on. It's alcohol being served. It's a lot of horny men walking around here. Like, you need way more crisis prevention in this bar. Yeah. And they were about to have a very, very serious problem with that young lady. And Piper solved it by just doing karaoke. She ended a crisis by singing.
Which is so weird because, like, up till that point, we have seen Piper like take care of arguments and issues by addressing them head on. Like, she like her first night at Coyote Ugly, she splits up a fight. And like we've seen her like talk back to people. And then in that moment, she's like, you know what this world needs? A Blondie song.
She's like Michael Jackson and Beat It. Michael Jackson ended gang violence and Beat It. They're about to stab each other. Mike's like, no, stop. You need to solve this. Do you like the scene where Violet is up on the roof playing music and that guy is randomly breakdancing in his apartment? Do you like that scene?
No. I mean, I think it fits the vibe of the movie. I think it's a really stupid scene. To show she's like, yeah, I'm coming out of my shell and I'm okay with hip hop now. Like that's what I get from that scene. Can we though rewind just a second and talk about right before she's playing on her roof, the guy's breakdancing. After she does karaoke on the bar to break up a sexual assault, she then they're like, oh, like this has been a great night. She's like, yeah, I need to like run around and do something. She goes to a payphone. She calls Kevin, this guy, wakes him up, goes to his apartment at 3 a.m., just like does like a simple, just like a little kiss, just like a little peck, and then leaves. How mad would you be if somebody called you at 3 a.m. to wake you up to come over? They kiss you in your doorway and then they immediately leave.
Don't try to put me on the spot like this on camera. You know what I mean? Don't try to do this to me. You know what? I would respect her boundaries. That is a good, honest Christian woman. That's what it is. And I respect, hey, baby girl, that's your choice. That's what I'm telling her. That's your choice.
Okay, listen, that's a weird move though, right? Can we just we can acknowledge that's a weird
She's
move.
just a regular small town girl. You know, this is her first time. I got to respect that. I got to respect this. So our girl Violet pulls up at her pops at his job to say hello. And he's starting to ask questions about the bar. Her boyfriend gets her a Thursday night gig. Tyra Banks returns to the bar to do the only reason why she is in this movie, a water routine on the bar top. Violet's dad, John Goodman, walks into the bar to spot his daughter getting wild and crazy. Violet stops into work, and she can only do 2 hours, but we know where this is headed. The bar is slammed per usual, and she can't leave to perform her gig. Hold on. You were telling me the whole reason she moves to the city is to get an audition and a chance for people to hear her music. And now in 3 weeks, Coyote Ugly is so important to you that you just can't tell Lil, I can't come in today. I need to go do this. This is important. You already work 5 days a week. Switch me. I'll work another one of these days, but no, I'm not missing my chance. This is my dream. My dream is to not be in the rafters the way that Zoe is. My dream is to get my music heard. I hated that part about it.
Yeah. No, it seems very like she immediately just forgets her main purpose in this and is just like, oh, gotta stay at this bar.
She got caught up in the flash of the money. She got caught up in the bar.
I mean, that's fair. It looks like the money's pretty good. So I get it.
Making $300 a night.
That's fine to just pour drinks and dance. That's great.
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want to do this? So she blows off the gig, and we learn that her boyfriend traded his Spider-Man comic book just to get her the spot. Kevin pulls up to the bar to see someone getting a little too handsy with his gal, and he loses it, starting a big fight and gets him thrown out of the bar. This was the most realistic part to me in the entire movie. You and I are together. I understand that this is how I met you. I understand this is what you do. I'm mad that you didn't come to the audition that I got set up for you. I had to do some backdoor dealings to get you this.
You lost a comic book.
Then I go to the bar and I see some dude touching on you. At 22, 23 years old, a fight happens.
Yeah.
A fight happens.
Oh, 100%.
A fight happens inside, and then when you guys get outside, you have the argument that they have. This was by far and away, the most realistic aspect of this movie.
That's fair. I will say that the fight they have outside, that just for me, I'm not going back to someone after we have that argument though. That is a relationship ending argument in my eyes.
I didn't think it was that bad.
He leaves her crying outside of a club.
That's love.
Gross.
That's love.
We are very different people.
Yeah, that's love.
That's disgusting.
That's love. Who among us hasn't cried outside a bar with someone that we love? That's
me. I've never done that.
That's because you ain't been to Coyote Ugly. That's why. That's why you haven't been.
Clearly missing out here. Can we rewind and talk about him trading that comic book for her spot at that club that night that she
deal's
misses?
A deal.
Okay, but they made it seem so shady and tough guy, and I just like it felt like an awkward moment. Like I get that they were drawing back to like, oh, he's this comic book's
Yeah.
important to him, but like the guy, you know, like this like tough guy, like, come on, a deal's a deal. Where is it? Like, I don't think you need to be that tough.
I actually like the fact, like one of the things I did like about this movie is they kind of showed Kevin as like a New York City hustler, like a young guy that's trying to make it. Doesn't have a whole lot, but I'm willing to do. I got my hands at the grill. I'm doing fish on the side. I can get you into this. Like they showed him to connect. And then I thought when they had the fight, like the fight at the core of it is I had to work for everything that I have. I gave you a leg up. I gave you an opportunity to do something that you're really passionate about. And you didn't take it seriously enough. No one ever did this for me. That's what I'm saying. This part right here is the most realistic part of the movie.
Counterpoint, she didn't want to do the club thing in the first place, though. She didn't want to go perform at that club that he set her up for. He very much just like pushed her to do that. He never asked her. He signed her up without asking and then was like, did that cringy, like, I'm not going to kiss you until you agree.
If you want to
like,
get your music heard, this is how you do it.
Okay, but like, also, if you've been dating someone for a week at this point, maybe it's not up to you to be in charge of their dreams.
No, 100%. Like, I can't argue that.
Like
you're trying to put too much logic into Coyote Ugly. That's what you're trying to do.
No, I'm just saying. Absolutely, I am. But Kevin's just inserting himself too much, and then is like so mad that she doesn't fall into like what he wants.
He showed us overbearing night one of their relationship.
That's where he followed her home for an hour.
That energy just continued. So Violet is back in her hometown, 42 miles away, celebrating her homegirl's wedding and runs into her father. Her pops took her working at this bar a little bit more serious than it needed to be.
Oh, 100%.
She's working at Super Hooters. She is not on the pole. That's how he acted. He was like, I'm ashamed of you. Bro, it was not that big of a deal. Stop it.
I mean, I will say, if I was working at a place like this and my dad showed up, my dad would have probably the same reaction.
That's fair.
Of just like, oh, nope, absolutely not. Nope. But then my dad, I think the difference would be we would just never bring it up ever again. We would just ignore it and we would go back to just both of us pretending like he had never seen that.
So maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but I thought the movie was setting it up because they mentioned his health and his weight enough. When her dad gets in an accident, I thought he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, hold on now.
Yeah,
he was in a car accident? Wait, hold on.
He broke his leg.
You have been setting it up for an hour about his weight and eating better and him hiding the McDonald's and throwing it away. Then when he gets into an accident, he had to have a heart attack in that scenario. I can't believe I wished a heart attack on John Goodman, but I did in that scenario. I was like, wait, hold on. He didn't have a heart attack?
I know. We went like we mentioned lean cuisine enough that like it should have been a heart attack for sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. So we find out the real reason why Violet's mom didn't make it in the big city, but her dad's not going to make that same mistake twice and let her quit. Lil pulls up to Violet's new job and tells her that she's welcome back, but she declines the offer. She gets a message. Her big break is coming through and she has a gig at 10 o'clock. We actually missed this part of the movie that whole scene to me. From Lil and Violet getting into the argument, and Lil, I told you the rules from day one. This is what the rules are in this bar if you want to work here. I thought that was really good. Mm-hmm. Lil's one of my favorite characters, maybe my favorite character in this entire movie. Yeah. Like this movie, I thought needed the personality that she had. And if you're going to be the owner of a bar that's like this, you kind of need a no-nonsense individual to carry that on. And that's what I thought she was. I love Lil in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I thought she was great, too. Because, like, you need, like, that tough, like, independent female character who is not there to be, like, a love interest to anyone. She is just, I love this bar. Like, this is my love interest. Like I'm here to work. I'm here to make sure this place is great and to do what it's supposed to do. Like, you know what it is.
So Lil pulls up to the new job, asking Violet if she wants to come back. She declines the offer. She has a chance. We also learn that Kevin is giving up his apartment and heading to Chicago. Well, our girl has some nerves, but her dad and her friend talk her out of it, and it is time for her to perform. At the performance, her stage fright rears its ugly head once again, but Kevin is right there to turn off the power, and that is just the boost that she needs to sing her little heart out. 3 months later, Leanne Rimes is at Coyote Ugly singing the song that Violet wrote. Violet also gives Kevin his comic book back that she cost him for not performing. Violet then pimps off her father for $150. Kevin gets the girl, Pops gets a date, and that concludes Coyote Ugly.
She's got to stop pimping people out the bar.
Twice.
Like that's
twice.
That's a weird move.
She really found her calling, honestly.
I mean,
She pimped Kevin or Pops? Who's next? Pimp me, Violet. Pimp me, Violet. Let me ask you this. Would you consider this movie to be a cult classic?
I don't think so. I don't think it has enough of a following to be considered like a cult classic. Like, it's one of those movies that, like, if you bring it up, anyone like our age is like, oh, what a great movie. I haven't seen it since high school. Like, I was actually talking to quite a few people about it like last night because I had just watched it again. I was like trying to get like my thoughts in order about it. And I brought it up to like several people, and like every single one of them was like, oh, what a great movie. I haven't seen that movie since like 2006. So like, I don't think it has like that following like other like cult classics do.
I also think a major part of being a cult classic is being quotable. This movie's not quotable enough to me to be a cult classic in that way. I did enjoy this movie. I enjoy it for what it is. I made the point earlier. This is a perfect movie that if your parents dropped you off at the movie theater, you and your group of friends would go see this movie and you guys would all leave the movie theater happy that you went to go see it. It's also one of those movies, you and I are from that DVD era where you love to collect DVDs, and it wasn't just having one or two. You needed 50 DVDs. You needed the whole rack of DVDs. If you had Coyote Ugly in your DVD collection, that was a good DVD to have.
Absolutely.
You got somebody coming over, you pop it on there, very easy watch. This movie, I'm big on these movies. Did you accomplish the goal that you set out to do with this movie? And I think this movie accomplishes all of its goals.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of know like when you start this movie, like what you're going to get into. And that's exactly what you get out of it. Like from the opening scene, you know, small town girl, not a small town girl, but small town girl. Like she's going to accomplish her dreams. She's probably going to find a love interest along the way. Like, I mean, like, you know that because that's the formula that like we have. And yeah, you see all of that. And it's fun. The music's good. It has like a lot of like.
You definitely have the soundtrack to this.
I mean, I definitely listened to it on the way
of course
here today.
You did.
Absolutely, I did.
You love the Coyote Ugly soundtrack. You love it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that like, and like you and I talked about this, but all of like the singing in the movie is LeAnn Rimes. Like, it's not like Piper never sings in the movie. Like, actually, like her voice in the movie is LeAnn Rimes the whole time.
Okay, I did not know that. Look at that. You're our teaching. We're learning fun facts about Coyote Ugly. I didn't know. That's why we have you here, because I knew.
Which leads me to like a pet peeve I have actually. Just okay. I think Piper did a great job. I think she's fun in that role. She's cute. Like, she's a good actress for this role. Just cast someone who can sing. Like, you don't have to dub the voiceover if you just cast. There's enough talented people out there who can sing, and Jessica Simpson and Britney Spears were both up for this role. They can both sing. Cast the person who can sing. It's less work. Like,
that's why I think this movie is better if Jessica Simpson is the lead. I think it is a cult classic. It's a movie you go back to because it has a little bit more star power.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a you remember when early part of it. I actually think this movie is perfect if Britney Spears is the lead.
Yeah.
Piper's story, or Violet's story is Britney Spears' story. Small town girl who goes to the big city who wants a successful music career. That's Britney Spears. Now, I don't know if Britney Spears could have done this movie in 2000. Like, did you want her to make that turn where she's at a bartender where guys are gawking at her and they're pouring water at her? Was she ready to handle that role in the 2000s? I'm not sure. But this movie is Britney Spears' story. They should have cast her.
And I will say that because like Jessica Simpson was like getting cast in this role. And she dropped out because the original script had like a pretty extended sex scene in it. Like,
we needed that. Streets needed that.
Okay, they filmed it. They just cut it from like the final cut.
Oh my! So you're telling me there's a Jessica Simpson sex scene from Coyote Ugly out there that we haven't seen? YouTube, come through.
It is not with Jessica Simpson because she dropped out because they refused to take it out of the movie in like the original script. And then when they did the final cut of the movie, they took it out anyway.
Wait, they thought this movie was going to work as a rated R movie? No chance. This movie only works as a PG-13 movie.
Oh yeah, because you need like high school age kids to go see it.
100%.
Like that's who this movie is.
This movie does not work as a rated R movie.
No.
I would love to know, based on their budget, how much money Tyra Banks got. Because Tyra Banks is the vehicle that moved. Now, she's not the best actor, actress in this. That's John Goodman. But we talked about the poster earlier. This movie is not selling because Piper Perabo is in this movie. This movie is selling because you can have Tyra Banks do the media run. You can have Tyra Banks as the face of. This is a movie about a bar with really attractive women, and we maybe have the most attractive woman on the earth that is a bartender at this movie. I would love to know what her fee is to do this.
Yeah, I know. It would be really interesting.
January Jones was also up for the lead of this movie.
I did know that, yeah.
Very attractive woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost all the other choices would have been better than who they cast for Violet. Like, now in hindsight, this movie should have been about Britney Spears. I can't believe that didn't happen. All right, so Rotten Tomatoes. This movie has an approval rating of 23% based on 104 reviews with an average of 3.8. The site's consensus says, quote, Coyote Ugly is enthusiastically trashy energy and undeniable aesthetic appeal, but it's nowhere near enough to make up for the film's shallow, unimaginative story. I don't think the movie is unimaginative. I just think that it is cookie cutter in a way. And
I mean, that's what
well, yeah, but like
that's the same thing.
I know, but I just think in here this is just a common movie trope.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I wanted in this movie was a little bit more pushback and a little bit more resolve in this movie. There was no adversity really ever in this movie, or when there was adversity, it was almost instantly solved. The money gets stolen. She then figures it out the next scene, how to get more money. She breaks up with her boyfriend. Her and her boyfriend are broken up for like 2 minutes. Then he then pops up to fix her problem. She never really had to overcome anything in this movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. But also sometimes it is nice to just watch a movie that doesn't have like any major problems throughout. Like something happens, it gets solved in the next scene, and the music's great the whole time, and the fashion's really fun.
Oh, that's fair.
And like not every movie has to be super complex.
This movie makes you feel good, and that matters.
Yeah.
This movie makes you feel good, and that is a plus. That is a positive.
Yeah, you want to be like a part of that friend group. You want to like be a part of the story. At one point, they have like a softball team in like half of a second scene.
You also want to go there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, to me, that's a really big part in these movies. Of it, this is I know it became a real world, but like a fictional world. Do you want to be a part of this world? And I mean, you would want to go to Coyote Ugly.
I mean, it wasn't a fictional world at like the time though. Like the first Coyote Ugly bar was open in 1993 in New York City, and the original owner, whose name I think was Lillian, she consulted on this movie.
It's Lil. That's how we got the name Lil.
Yeah,
good for her.
Yeah, she's based on like the real.
I hope she got paid.
Like owner.
They probably just took her story and didn't pay her. She got paid pennies to do this. You know she did. You know she got paid to do this. Give me your hero for this movie. Mine is the owner. I thought Lil was the best character overall in this movie. I thought she was funny. I thought she was tough when she needed to be, soft when she needed to be. I think she was a part of the best scene in the movie. She then kind of redeems her character when she goes back to Violet and then tries to get her hired back on. Lil was a star in this movie to me. Big fan.
I agree. I think Lil is an incredible character and was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I don't want to say the same thing as you, so I'm going to pivot and say Violet's best friend.
Okay.
I think was an incredible character. She served her purpose. She knew who she was. She supported her best friend like to the end and like helped her move, showed up when her dad was in the hospital, even though it was her wedding night, was at that club at the final scene where she's like singing her song and like finally having her moment. And she's exactly like what you want out of a friend character from this like early 2000s movie.
Don't call me on my wedding night. Don't call me on my wedding night. Especially if your pops ain't dead. He's okay. He's fine.
He just broke a leg.
Yeah, he got a broken leg. He's all right. Call me tomorrow. You can call me on the day after my wedding day. I'm busy. I'm busy that night.
I can't call you on your wedding night?
No, don't call me then.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah. There aren't a lot of blackout times you can't call me. That feels like a very safe It better be something real serious in order for you to call me in this scenario. Give me your doing too much. You might laugh at me. My doing too much was the second montage. The first shopping montage I liked. Then we get one, they're playing softball. It just, no, we didn't need the second montage. No thanks. Cut it out.
I know. Like the softball was just
titties. That's all it was. It was just titties.
Such a weird thing to just add for 10 seconds of the movie. Let's see, doing too much. I think like the way they portrayed like Piper's like struggle to break into like the industry, and then but she doesn't do anything new. She just keeps doing the same thing. So they're like, "Hey, don't send us tapes. We're not going to listen to it." And they explain in like one of the first scenes like why they're not going to listen to that tape. You could sue us for like copyright if we listen to the tape and then we produce a song that sounds like yours.
Yeah.
And then she just keeps sending out tapes and is so surprised when they all come back like unopened. She's like, "Oh, my tapes. Oh no." She pours them like over the stairs.
I'm also guessing in 2000, weren't they using CDs at that point? This is 2000. Well, yeah, at this point, why you ain't got no CD?
Well, yeah, she, you know, and that, well, really, that's when she makes her big break. Is she buys the like Apple laptop, which is so old school looking. I loved it, and then makes a CD instead of a tape, and then that's what gets her noticed.
Look at that. See, technology
That's
helping
what she
people.
needed.
R.I.P. to Steve Jobs. We miss you, my boy. We really miss you here. This movie is a 5.7 on IMDb.
Mhm.
Too much, too little, just right for Coyote Ugly.
I'm gonna say, I feel like this movie is very average, so I'm gonna say just right. Maybe like a couple like half points too high. Honestly, I think it's like a 5.0 movie.
Yeah, I think this movie is fairly rated. I think a 5.7 is a fair rating for this
Yeah.
movie. There are a lot of good things about this movie. You can easily kind of poke some holes in the plot, but the point I made earlier, this movie, I think, accomplishes the goal that it set out to do. This is a fun 90-minute watch.
Yeah.
And if you are 22 years old and you go see this at the box office, if you're 17 and you go with your friends to go see this at the box office, you like this movie,
Yeah.
and you also probably have nostalgic feelings about this movie if you saw it during that time. This movie ain't made for us. We in our 30s. This is not a movie I would have gone to go see at the movie theater. But if you're in that age range, this is also, I'm guessing, a very replayable movie. You put this on you put this on VH1, you put this on MTV.
Yeah.
It's a movie that people are gonna like and enjoy. I think 5.7 is fair for this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very average.
Whitney, this is another episode of you of the Bad Movies Worst Opinions podcast. We appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, before we leave, can I tell you my favorite fun fact about this movie?
Of course.
That I didn't get to bring up yet. And I think that you might like this one. So Kevin Smith, who I know that you
He wrote this movie, yeah.
No, he didn't write it. He wrote one line in this movie.
What was it?
He because he consulted on it. The writer's name, I have it written down. Gina Winkos. She also wrote Princess Diaries. So she wrote.
She's a legend.
I know. So she wrote the screenplay, and then she consulted Kevin Smith just to like get his opinion, and he gave his opinion. She only kept one line of his, and it's when like Piper to Cammy, like one of the other bartenders at one point is like, "Oh, thank you so much, I could kiss you," and then Cammy goes, "Oh, I'm not a lesbian. Like I played in the minors, but I never went pro." That is the one line that Kevin Smith wrote in this movie.
It's a great contribution to the film.
And I think that's
Played
hilarious.
in the minors, never went pro.
Like that's so funny.
Well, you know what? That's why we got you here for the little fun fact. I appreciate you. You still want us to do Red Dawn as a movie? Not sure if we're doing that in 2024, but you know what? I appreciate you nonetheless.
We're absolutely doing it.
I don't know about that. You have been listening to the Bad Movies Worst Opinions podcast, where we believe that everybody has a favorite bad movie. The only rule is that we must watch a movie that is rated below a 6.0 on IMDb. Give us a review, also subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Next week's movie is Stomp the Yard. Have you seen Stomp the Yard before?
It's been, probably 15 years since I've seen that movie.
I'm excited to do Stomp the Yard. That is our movie next week. Catch you guys next week.